Okay, once again, we put out the call for listener questions, and we got a whole bunch this year, so please, welcome back our pal, Michaela. Welcome, Michaela!
Yay! It is an absolute pleasure to be here again. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's that time of year. I love it. So as always, I want to kick us off again with a couple of questions for Michaela. So last year, we learned that you were playing some Delta Green. In fact, you and me and Katie are players on a team, and Robert has been our handler. It's been great to have you behind the screen again. It's been like since the D&D 3rd edition days, like 20-something years ago. But we have done a number of missions since we last sat in this room and spoke with you. Would you care to share with us a favorite moment or something you've observed or learned from jumping into the deep end of that particular brand of Lovecraftian stew?
Wow. What I will say is that that RPG in particular is humbling in so very many ways. But wow, yeah, no, I mean, playing with you all in particular is I cannot tell a lie. It's fucking intimidating because you all are so great at this particular craft, and I fancy myself a pretty okay storyteller from time to time.
Please.
But when you have a Lovecraftian beast pinning you to the ground, trying to violate you, as one does, and you're just trying to survive a grapple situation, and thinking what would a person do? What would Michaela do? What would a Marine do? Mm-hmm. That holy trinity goes. It's so fun. It's so gross.
It is gross.
It's so weird.
Rob keeps trying to kill himself.
He keeps trying to kill himself and bring me down with him and or save him. I'm still not clear. We have so much to unpack there.
Some amazing hand-to-hand combat with a New Kids on the Block
Yep.
towel.
I think it's a blanket.
His raging porn
blanket.
addiction.
Yes.
Oh, wait. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
But they think it exists.
Telling us
Did I hear that
sure.
you do jujitsu in this, right?
I do. I do
does.
Brazilian jiu-jitsu in honor of you, Johnny.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I have grappled so many monsters. My job in that campaign is to hold squishy and slimy things while Katie and Michaela shoot them.
Yeah.
And John Henry runs around trying to shoot them.
That's also correct.
Proved quite adept at it, as it turns out.
Yeah. But in all seriousness, the you guys have such a dedicated schedule to work on this for obvious reasons, and the Delta Green stuff, it's for fun. It's shenanigans. I was never a great student, more the procrastinator type, and homework was kind of a sticking point for me. I, as a full-grown adult, am realizing I have got to get better at homework, if only to be a better game player.
And is that about knowing the rules, or?
It's a little the rules, but I feel like once we get going, I'm better at that. It's more the having as rich a backstory, or just being as comfortable as possible with where your character is at mentally and emotionally.
Sure, yeah.
To be able to walk into a game and present their truest self, and really put yourself and your own insecurities on the back burner.
Yeah.
Or just roll them in.
Or just roll them in, which I feel like is mostly what I've been doing, is just rolling in my insecurities and bringing donuts. It's great. It really is. It's fun because it's because it's a game, but it is incredibly challenging, and I do love going in with so little.
I don't think we're all walking out of this one. I don't. The mission we're on, I don't think I'm walking.
Oh, I mean, we have to sacrifice somebody.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's going to be me.
Do you?
Yes.
He wants to die.
It seems obvious it should be John Henry. He's not here, so you can just vote him off.
We
the
just put
island.
him together. Perfect. And then, Michaela, I had asked you last year which specific novel Book 2 of Strange Eons had been riffing on, Shadow over Innsmouth, obviously. Did you recognize which text this act was in reference to?
Okay. So I cannot fully remember the title of this, and
Yep.
I wanted to come in as an honest person.
This is great.
But there is the case of Charles.
You just made a face.
The face on Rob's face right now is pretty
that-
amazing.
This is me. I don't remember what that one is, so I want to talk about why you think it's that.
Okay, I think it's that because, well, first of all, the Necronomicon plays a big part in that, and it is about a man, and this kind of applies to all of you except for sweetie Dabwick.
Dabs.
Everyone's. Well, the main character discovers essentially he is related to this evil wizard. Like his great grandfather was this bad dude, and he's like, I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. And then, of course, madness.
Yeah.
And I think he may even like bring him back at some point. It's been a minute since I've read it. Again, I can't even remember.
Yeah, I
freaking
don't even
title of
remember
it.
that one. I've
Yeah,
read
it's
them all.
the case of Charles someone or other.
I'm going to look into that one.
Okay, look into that one.
But what it is
Tell me.
The Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath. Have you read that one?
I have not read that one.
Okay, so get this.
Hit me.
It centers around the protagonist. This is one about Carter again, who appears in
Yes,
a certain
yes.
number of them. He is trying to locate a hidden city, and on the way of doing so, undertakes a series of epic adventures, which include treating with Zoogs, visiting a city of sentient cats, a rescue from a prison on the moon, a visit to Celophaeus, treating with ghouls, sneaking through a city overrun with gugs, a brief one-off reference to avoid cities lousy with womps, traveling the Akranos River, fighting denizens of Leng, and ultimately being trapped in an impossible situation which can only be escaped by remembering that you can just wake up. So the book itself is basically what you all just did, slightly reframed along the way.
I am even more impressed by that.
So really, the city, Iguskai's being populated with cats wasn't really just because you like cats, which is your stated reason for doing it.
I had not reread this book. I had forgotten that was part of that until I just put together this synopsis.
Oh my God.
So that was coincidence.
It was in your subconscious
deep in
memory.
the
It probably was.
recesses.
It probably was.
Crazy.
And then, of course, the Green Idol quest by itself is, of course, lifted right out of the doom that came to Sarnath, which is the backstory of Sarnath and Ib and Brokaruk and all that stuff. And the city of Celophaeus is also featured in the story. There's a story called Celophaeus, which I think is like the setup for the first time he goes there, and then he's trying to get back later.
Wow.
Yes. Okay.
So
So
cool.
So speaking of literary references, you all, my friends, I did a thing in Act 3. If I lay out as context that in one of my other lives, I'm a playwright that specializes in literary adaptation, if I mention that by way of context, were any of you aware, consciously or otherwise, of the thing that I did?
Say that question again.
Tell you what.
Yeah.
I did a thing about 20 times. And let me just play one of them for you. I'll play the very first one that I
Like
did,
Jeopardy.
which I had thought was going to be so obvious that it would kind of ruin the thing that I was doing. But, when we're playing, everybody has a lot going on. You don't know what to focus on.
There's math.
Also, even though
There's
we
math.
shouldn't, we assume everything's in the book,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like we're always astounded when you tell us there's no foxes in book one.
Right.
Right.
You know, like we just assume you didn't make it up, even though you're constantly telling us what you've made up.
The only time I know it's you is when you're like, hold on, guys, I got a
gotta
lot to read here.
Would you just let me finish my thing?
let me get this out.
Yeah, we had one of those the other day. But let me play just one of them by itself for you and see if, when you're focusing, you can catch it or recognize what I'm doing here. I'm looking especially at you, Katie, because I think you do actually know this. So everybody clear your mind. Do you recognize this? There is fog everywhere. Fog in front of you where it flows over the choppy waves. Fog behind you where it presumably rolls in and among the waterside pollutions of Thrushmore. Fog on the Versex marshes. Fog on the Varno heights. Fog creeping out on the yards and hovering in the rigging. Fog in the lungs of old Harlar, wheezing in the cabin.
This is a thing you've done
20 times.
In this book or
In
in
just book 3.
is it all fog related?
Is it all John Carpenter related?
It's another sky of fog all around you. There never came a fog so thick in the sight of heaven and earth. Any guesses? That was an adaptation of the opening chapter of Charles Dickens' Bleak House.
You're such
This string of fog here, fog
my
there, fog up
God.
there, fog down there, another sky of fog is a very famous opening to a very famous novel. So stories within stories within stories was actually my secret meta theme for the act. I went on into this again 20 times through Act 3. I couldn't do it every single episode because who has the time, right? But I did it every single time as table setting upon your arrival at a new Dreamlands location.
Oh my God.
And then I did it every odd-numbered episode that took place in the real world. I got Dickens, Arthur Conan Doyle, Lovecraft, Thomas More, Shakespeare, Wilkie Collins, Oscar Wilde, Edgar Allan Poe, Charlotte Bronte, H.G. Wells, Joseph Conrad, Robert Louis Stevenson, T.E. Lawrence, Algernon Blackwood, George Eliot, Henry James, Victor Hugo, Mary Shelley, Bram Stoker, Alfred Lord Tennyson, and Herman Melville in there.
Oh my God.
Plus, I slipped in a set of Bob Dylan lyrics into The Night of the Pale, Tool lyrics into the Skin Scrap Psychometry, some Talking Heads at one point. I also threw in chunks from The Matrix, including Morpheus's Desert of the Real line, which is in itself a literary reference. And I even threw in and made Paul say some lines from a couple of my plays that he directed, which are themselves literary adaptations. So maybe for fun, since my computer is not being friendly right now, maybe I will just I will rip this and I'll make a sound file and put it somewhere so people anyone who's interested can listen
Just
to
drop it.
Yes.
Those
Oh
buttons just
my
Drop it. People
word!
can listen to it or not if there's a one.
I'm gonna re-listen just to find those Tool lyrics, just for the Tool lyrics alone.
It's
I know, I want
it's
the
the
Bob
Skin
Dylan.
Scrap Psychometry. So the lyrics that I made Robert read at the end of The Night of the Pale, that's a
Yeah.
Bob Dylan song.
I now I forget what those lines were.
Death is not the end. And yeah. So picture your arrival at Brellen's court. That description of the party is the description of the party at Mask of Red Death.
Sure.
See,
Sure.
now okay.
So things-
when you say it out loud,
Right,
it's
yes.
like, well, duh.
I think once you know that some of those are there, because some of them are like super deep cuts and you just wouldn't know, but some are not deep cuts at all.
Very surface.
In a hole in the ground there lived a
Shallow
womp.
Wow.
Well, so that'll be fun for you all to go back and
Fascinating.
Yeah.
re-experience on
Can't
the second
wait.
pass
Can't
through.
wait.
Oh, wow.
So let's turn it over to Michaela to ask the questions that we have received. And of course, Michaela, feel free to follow up or ask any of your own as you wish.
All right.
I've clumped them this year into 3 buckets. First, some general questions, then some questions about previous acts, and then a series of specific questions about specific moments in Act 3, and I've put those in chronological order of what they're referring to.
Okay, we will start with a question from Alex. Biggest twist in this book?
Yeah, we can use this as our springboard to talk about favorite twists or favorite events or moments. I know the 5 of us did a little of this in our postscript, but that was many months ago for us now. So if with some distance, if there's anything you want to add, and I'd love to hear Michaela's answer to that too. And real quick, we actually have multiple listeners named Alex that we hear from, and 2 of them had questions for us. So we'll distinguish them by calling them Alex with 1 X and Alex with 2 X's. And that question was from Alex with 1 X.
I think my biggest twist in the book was the boon from the Mad Poet for getting all the gifts.
Oh, yeah.
To me, that was like something good happened here.
And that's a
And
twist
that was
in
a
and of itself.
twist in the book
That was
I was not
absolutely a
expecting.
surprise.
Big
Yeah.
time. Big time.
We've already talked about a bunch of my faves, but I really got a kick out of the second Sarnath episode when Katie decided to have Dora blindfold herself and everything that followed, and the challenge for all of us, but trying to run that sequence without the player being able to receive any visual information. And trying to figure out how the Ib Shades would be dealing with these 2 eventually invisible enemies, and trying to figure out how to stretch the action economy to stay within the rules to help you do what you were trying to do, which the action economy didn't really make easy. It was a very unexpected night of GMing that I was like, okay, I don't know. What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What would it feel like if a will-o-wisp is passing 10 feet away from you? Would you feel, I don't know. It was, and just the fact that you decided, even with all that information, to tackle the problem head on, even blindfolded, but head on, to just race at the problem was a surprise. I actually kind of thought you were going to leave.
My favorite part of that whole sequence was when Vic tried to then get in on the action and made that leap, and you were like, yep, you fall on the ground.
Yep, 100%. 100%.
That was my favorite part. After Dora was like, I'm the only one that can survive this. Please don't follow me up there. And the
things are
dabs is behind
incorporeal.
me. Everything is like, it's like, just let me do this. I got it.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see Chester again.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I have Dab's betrayal by J-Dove being one of my biggest sort of like I remember when that came out, just being like, what?
Yeah, especially for characters that I kind of created as a part of a meditation game and sort of a writing assignment from the DM, to have them thrown back into the story and have Dabwick's greater arc have new context.
Right.
That was major twist for me. It was awesome.
Oh, good. What about for you, Michaela? What caught you by surprise, either plot-wise or twist-wise, or...
So the last 3 episodes, the Trinity of 150, I listened to those 3 times. That every one of these episodes is so much fun and it's so captivating. But those 3 episodes, that Trinity is fucking perfect. It's beautiful. The last episode in particular is such a beautiful mind job. But I will say I was really twisted up and surprised that you made me give a damn about the Yellow King. I was so moved in seeing him in my mind's eye vanish. I was on a treadmill, just listening. It's Monday. I'm gonna listen to my podcast and walk, and I had to stop and just let my brain take over and have that moment for myself. It was absolutely beautiful.
We all owe that to Johnny, because Johnny came up with the idea that now we're best friends.
Yeah,
and I would never have occurred to me to do anything with that character other than, be an interesting bit of flavor that then has an interesting end. But to try to find some sort of connection with these people or tell a story beyond that was not something I had expected to do.
And that's what's so terrific and captivating about all of these offshoot characters. They will come back, and you will be impacted by them in one way or another. And the character development it's so top notch. I mean, this comes from all of your experience outside of this room, but especially around a table. You are able to transcend what your homework was and actually make these people. I was shocked. I was shocked. I'm like, I don't care about this guy. He's kind of annoying. Frank. Oh my God, he's gone. No, he's gone. I was very, very sad.
He's even still doing the annoying voice while he vanishes.
Oh, why can't?
The way y'all just took out your others.
It was shocking, wasn't it?
That was insane.
I was staggered.
You all were on fire.
Fuck those guys.
We had the advantage.
Laid them to waste.
We knew who they were, but they didn't know who we were.
All the same, there is something about a rougher fighter that can take you off guard, and that simply did not happen.
Getting the jump on Tima
Yeah, that
was a game changer.
no-brainer.
Like taking her out, because she nearly took Dabwick
Yeah.
out entirely with her first action, and then knocked everybody down to about half, except for Gripper, of course. But she's lethal.
Also,
what's
getting
one of the-
Ray to kill Vatican.
Yeah, that story thing was pretty great.
Man.
Slay living.
All of the entire Nathaniel episode. Skin crawly delight. Just such. that was one that I listened to a few times, especially with a beautiful, terrifying artwork from Matt.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just staring at this image, staring at that mouth with all those teeth.
I have-
so many teeth. He's this weird twist. Of
because we didn't
himself.
fight him.
Right. Which I'm sorry, I just got to finish this as well because that was fucking hilarious. Like listening to the episode and then going back to it and going, oh my God, you guys are wasting all this shit. You really are just throwing it all away.
And listening to the flop sweat on me, I'm going like, so you're just going to go in there and start punching. Oh, okay. All right. All right. Okay.
So great.
Are you
So
sure
great.
you want to do that?
Oh, right. And then the Sean talk. He looks nervous. He looks very nervous.
I have a Nathaniel Wanderlust question. Let's say our more common instincts got the better of us, and we initiated combat with Nathaniel Wanderlust. Would we have had a chance, or would that have been a bad idea?
You were so buffed, I think you would have won that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the kind of fight where I think if he catches you off guard, it's kind of like a Vadrak, right?
Yeah.
Picture it like that.
Yeah, that's the question has been in my mind ever since Johnny showed such admirable restraint.
That was very
really did.
impressive. That was very impressive, Johnny.
Oh.
The heartbreaking twist of Barnabas.
Yeah.
When all of the sudden Barnabas was there, I was mad because I knew something was afoot. And I'm sorry, we're in a horror campaign, so I was not like, nah, he'll come in and he'll save the day, or he'll have some spell that he's been sitting on. I was like, this does not spell right.
This is bad news, guys.
I was very scared, and
Yeah.
that hurt a lot. That hurt a lot.
Your Tragedar is on point.
Yeah. And I don't know if we'll get to this or if this is a good time to say. I mean, the final episode is gorgeous. So when we hung out and played Delta Green a couple weeks ago, and you all were like, "Yeah, just wait for this episode. Everything will be explained." And I'm like, "Fuck you. I know that is not entirely true, but it makes so much sense, and every hat off to you for constantly taking notes, weaving this insane tapestry of for all of them that is heartbreaking, beautiful, badass, and surgical. It blew my mind. And who wrote that fucking letter?
That was Robert.
Yeah.
Robert?
And I didn't even see it before he did it. So I was just there.
I've already fired you for the Olipop. But I'm going to rehire you because that letter, well done, man.
Thank you.
It was really gorgeous and funny and really funny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay. Well, should we head on to the next one?
Yes. Let's head on to the next question before I cry again. The next question is from Rebecca. Can you talk about the collaboration with Matt for the episode art? Do you discuss possible images or give him the raw audio and cut him loose? And whose idea was it to have different colors and textures for the dreaming versus the waking world?
I love this question, and I am delighted to talk about it. And let's also use this as our prompt to everyone for our favorite art from the act and maybe even favorite Dreamland style. But first, I'll talk about the process with Matt. Frankly, it's awesome. So in addition to being a great artist, he's also a player. He is the alchemist in the Mummy's Mask campaign that Katie and I are in right now. And he was in a Starfinder game that I ran during the pandemic years. And he's just also a listener of the show. So he is deeply immersed in the world and the vibe. Process-wise, he always listens to the episodes first. In many cases, he actually listens to the raw, unedited recording before I even start working on it. And then typically one of three things happens. Sometimes I come to him with a request for a specific visual, either because of how I'm going to title the chapter or because I've got a long-term thing I want to establish or whatever. Sometimes he comes at me with, well, the visual is obviously this, right? Or I am going to draw such and such. And then he's just off and running. And then sometimes we have to brainstorm ideas if neither of us feels like the answer is obvious. And he'll whip up some rough sketches of possible directions, and then we'll eventually land on something that we both like. He is he's super great about always checking in about everyone's gear, what has changed, do they look the same? And at the top of every act, he does a whole new character study with a whole bunch of questions about how the characters present at this stage of their journey. And sometimes he's got questions for you to pass on to the players about this or that. And then he's off. And the idea to have the different art styles for each Dreamlands quest was mine, but it sprang out of his idea to do the different art style for each of the interludes. That sort of Silver Age comic book thing he's been doing for each of those. That was his idea. The stories are taking place in the past, and they've tended to at least start on a slightly more swashbucklery, lighter note, even if they do end with a dark twist. And he wanted the look to reflect that. So I went to him before Act 3 even started, and I floated the idea of different looks for different quests, kind of a little sheepishly, because I was like, this might be more work for you, but it might also be fun. Maybe you'd like to too. I don't know anything. And we talked about how each quest is sort of outside of time and in a dream, and he was really excited to start experimenting, and then he was off and running. And each of the individual styles was entirely his own creation. Sometimes he was riffing off of specific pieces of art, and sometimes not. So yeah, it is an unbelievable treat to work with him and to have this world brought to life in this way, which is not something I could ever have imagined, when we started this all those years ago. So favorite art from the act, or favorite Dreamland style?
My favorite Dreamland style has to be when we're at the Caravanserai, the Nerves one, where it's the four of us in sort of like desert garb, and it's Catwick.
Oh, yeah.
In profile.
Yeah, I saved it because I just love that one with the yellow and the sort of little dots and the orangeness and stuff. It's just so absolutely gorgeous.
And Gripper's got the Vorpal scimitar over his shoulder. And
it's just so, I just love it so much. And it totally makes me think of some of the old D&D artwork from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
It has that same kind of feel with the dots.
Yep.
Is the only way I can think of it. It makes me feel like a kid again in that best possible way.
Awesome.
I just love it.
I loved Novice. That's a terrific image.
Young Tima, young Anathema with the devil.
Anathema, yep.
Yeah.
And the Art Deco style.
For Sarnath.
My God.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy. I mean, that place is so crazy, and then it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's very unsettling. I was just going to give one more. Narrative Part 2 is very much giving the opening sequence of the original X-Men series, and I fucking love it. Just that the battle royale that's about to unleash.
It is
so great.
It is an homage to a very specific X-Men cover. So the guy, the Mad Poet at the center with his arms in the air, raising the Necronomicon. That is of course Professor X in the original piece of art.
I'm torn between the Bloodwind artwork and the Art Deco. I love the Art Deco.
Mm-hmm.
But my three favorite, and don't ask me to choose, are Novelties, which is Dora in the hall of the Selin Starling with pens in both hands.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
Oh yes.
And,
all-time favorite.
The Nearness, which is the red light of the Bloodwind on the party as in profile as they away, and Not, which is Dora ascending the stairs in Sarnath.
With the blindfold on. Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I thought this season's artwork was like, I've loved it from the beginning, obviously, but like this season, I felt like was elevated beyond my imagination.
Yeah.
Like this season was just like every week was a banger of a piece of artwork for the episode, and was surprising and moving. And if you look closely, there's more to it. Like it's just
always so much.
This season was just it blew me away.
As a piece of iconography, I really love that very simple one of Dora walking down the stairs the very, very first time with her shadow being cast ahead of her.
Yeah.
It is such a
Nightfall.
Simple image, and it's so evocative of a descent into mystery. And I think
madness.
It's so cool and so effective, and it just does so much with so little. And it says a lot about character in the way you all like. It's just like heads huddled by the door, and Dora like tentatively putting a foot down. It's so great.
I think I can only I have to go by categories. So I've got a favorite for each character, and then a favorite of the group of us, and then my favorite for the whole thing. I'll be quick. My favorite for Dora. This one was tough because there were so many good ones, but I think the one you mentioned with the two quills.
Oh yeah.
Just a killer.
That one is so good.
Runner up with the the fox. Yes.
Oh god.
My runner up is the Art Deco up the stairs.
Yeah.
For Dabs, I think it's the buddy when right after they died and
Nowhere.
Nowhere when that was so heartbreaking. My favorite for Vic is the one with him and YK with their outfits
They
switched.
changed clothes.
Yeah, I love that one. That's a great one.
I feel like I
Necessities.
still want to see a montage of that whole sequence while it's been 1 week by bare naked ladies plays underneath it. I think that would be the funniest fucking thing in the world. My favorite for Grip, I think, is him looking at his new badge from the Summon Starling after chucking the constable badge. My favorite of the group is the Bloodwind one of all of us, the red and black with everyone with their fists up.
It's like
that
the
one's
Power
just
Station album cover.
and I think my favorite for the whole season is Nepenthe. When
That's my favorite too.
That's my favorite.
when Vic's head is exploding when he gets all his
That's
memories
With
back.
22 episodes
With
of art.
22 episodes worth of art pouring out of his head, that blew my mind. No pun intended.
But let's give a shout out to the Giger themed.
Oh
art
Oh yeah,
first.
sure.
Yeah.
Because
Giger theme
especially
was pretty
that
sweet.
was the
So good.
only style that I was like, would you mind a suggestion?
Yeah.
And he was like, what do you got? I was like, what about this? He's like, that's very hard to do. I will do my best. Maybe I will do my version of it.
Well,
And
he
what he
knocked it-
did
he
was
knocked it
just
out of the park.
gorgeous.
out of this world.
Amazing. Yeah.
Well, you nailed all of my favorites too in your list of favorites.
I'm sorry.
No.
I was a greedy Gus.
The next question is from Jack. What episode had the most pop culture references?
I love this question too. Okay, so you all know now about all the literary references I threw in, and honestly, we do fairly regularly reference fantasy and horror stuff. But I think this is right. I think the episode with the most straight up non-fantasy pop culture references is Chapter 150, Part 1. So, Midnight Cowboy and Of Mice and Men are explicitly named and referenced. Then I pull in The Usual Suspects with the Little Kaiser Soze reference.
Yeah.
Then there were two other nods where I had to unfortunately cut the on mic saying the name of the thing because that night of the recording I was having some really bad coughing fits and they were like covered up by me coughing. But Johnny brought up Breaking Bad when he does his little monologue about talking about burnt lips and salt. He was referencing some of those shots of coming out of the desert in Breaking Bad. And then someone, I can't tell who it was because I'm coughing, but someone referred to Back to the Future and the fading photograph when Johnny was talking about Vic's portrait of Katerina fading away. That might have been you, or maybe somebody else was like, that's just like Back to the Future. But that was a reference that came up with that image of holding this thing in your hand and watching it sort of fade away. And then, honestly, me naming the daughter Katerina was a specific and intentional nod to a character in one of my favorite TV shows of all time, Dark. So that episode has just blew Michaela's mind.
Oh my god!
So I think that episode takes the cake of like non-Doctor Who, because we really drop a lot of Doctor Who references in.
Yeah.
And a question from Mick. Might or Madge make an appearance while flicking to our world? I would love to see Madge stare down a great old one.
So when Mick asked this question, they actually had a name where Michaela just went John, which I redacted because it's a spoiler. But this is a reference to the fact that Katie and I are also on another podcast together, the truly wonderful Fox and Stallion, created by our friends Lauren Grace Thompson and Ian Gears. It's a scripted comedy set in the 19th century London about three wannabe detectives who live across the street from Holmes and Watson. Katie is a series regular. She's awesome as Madge. I'm a guest in season 2. I actually played that universe's Sherlock Holmes. What was my Holmes just voted like the saddest, wettest kitten version of Holmes in the history of time? Yeah. It's a true honor to be the saddest, wettest kitten Sherlock Holmes. So Fox and Stallion is a scripted absurdist comedy. It's centered around a different, meticulously engineered mystery every season. It's got so much heart, a lot of laughs. I totally encourage you to check it out.
And Madge should absolutely never, ever, ever come anywhere near this universe or face down a great old one. She would be dead and insane in seconds. She wouldn't make it a moment.
She's the biggest badass in that universe.
Yes, but she would be the smallest badass.
Yeah.
In this universe. I did bring this up to Ian and Lauren the other night. We were having pizza, and they immediately were like, no! But we did we started down a path of what class Madge might be in Pathfinder, and we didn't get very far. Because I was like, well, I think her flair for the dramatic would make her a bard.
I think she might be that class that I gave Ripley. The one where you bully people into doing outrageous things.
That's right. Yeah.
She might be that.
She probably would, but she would be bad at it.
Ringleader. She was a ringleader.
Ringleader. Yeah, she's surely a ringleader.
I mean, let's face it, she's probably an aristocrat.
I think all three of them together would make one PC. Do you know what I mean? Like the Fox and two Stallions would make one PC that might survive a first level adventure.
So it's like a commoner, an expert, and a warrior.
Children. They're so incapable of doing anything, and they really feed each other's incompetence.
As for Mick's question, I'm not sure, honestly, whether such a crossover of worlds could ever happen. But I do know that if we do ever get around to bringing on an extra player or two to Dark Nexus for a side quest or a special occasion, Lauren and Ian are, of course, on the short list of folks I would reach out to check schedules with.
Yeah.
I have run them through a Starfinder AP, and they are wonderful players. So maybe we might see a crossover of some sort someday.
Yay.
The last general question is also from Mick. Mick writes, and I'm very excited about this question, or to hear the answer rather. It took me until Act 3 to realize that all chapters within an act start with the same letter, R, H, N. Why? And how much time is spent naming each chapter?
Okay. Best laid plans, right? So when we started, I thought it might be, air quotes, fun to have this convention where the first letter of each episode spelled things out. And I was going to start with things that nobody could possibly recognize early on, like Neruzavin, Weiralai. Then I got a little overwhelmed thinking about it, and I decided maybe I shouldn't saddle myself with such a big project on top of everything else I was doing for this podcast. So then I had the brainstorm to have, I'll simplify. I'll have each episode and act have the same starting letter, and that, together, over time, that would spell something out. And my brilliant idea was to have it spell R'lyeh. Is that how it's pronounced? Where Cthulhu is in prison?
Yeah.
R'lyeh. Not that R'lyeh is going to come up in this campaign, but in honor of the mythos. However, if any of you are doing the math already, you have already come to the realization that I didn't come to for a couple of years, which is that R'lyeh only has 5 letters, not 6.
And an apostrophe. So you could start.
Well, that's what I was like, maybe I'll just add an extra H after the initial R, and it's just like an alternate spelling. And anyways, so I realized my mistake just before Act 2 started, but by that point, I'd found out that using that H I thought I'd shove in there for a bunch of the chapters we'd already recorded worked really well, and I was like, okay, so maybe it'll all be an anagram of R'lyeh or something, plus an extra letter of some sort. And then by the time I'd gotten to trying to figure out a letter for Act 3, I discovered that I did not care, thank you very much, to try to come up with 60-some titles that start with Y. So I was like, abort! So I just picked a letter I liked, which is N, and I just was like, I'm gonna have fun with that. Okay. So now, like, every chapter starts with the same letter thing is just a thing I'm doing. So there's no reason anymore other than it's tradition and, it's fun.
Okay, but
Yeah.
RHN all appear in Jamandor. So don't tell me you're not doing this on
What's
purpose.
the long game?
I'm not.
Okay, but my other thing is
Because you know the letter for book 4 already.
Yes, I do.
Okay, I guess it is in there too.
Okay.
Okay.
But also, one of my favorite things to do when I don't have anything to do at work and I'm just home is to pop into the document where you name all the things. Because at the end of the document, he's just got a list of like a bunch of words that begin with H.
Yep.
And then I go in there and I pour through it and I'm like, you don't have this, you don't have this. And I add like just a slew.
So, like,
Words.
some of them name themselves.
Yeah.
Sure.
Many of them do not. So the answer to Mick's question, the answer is it takes way too much time. But it's like
I'm helping.
It is, yeah, you are helping, and it is like it's a different kind of creative side of my brain. So if I've been doing a whole bunch of like audio editing, sometimes like brainstorming on what's a thematically linked word that starts with fill in the blank that sometimes that's fun.
Yeah.
So there's no real reason anymore other than now that's just what I'm doing.
Well, frankly, I love that answer.
Okay, the next bucket of questions is about pre-Act 3 stuff. Oh, on this one, I'll ask and answer the first one real quick. This came from Robert, actually, during our Act 3 recap. I ended up cutting out that part of the recording, but thought it would be fun to put that in here for the audience to hear answered. Basically, it was a question about some confusion about what was Okano and what was Carcosa in the Act 1 prologue, since the phrase, the Yellow City, is used. What I told Robert was, if I could go back in time, I would recognize how potentially confusing it is that a city on Golarion, which features in the story, is called the Yellow City, when the AP also heavily features Carcosa, the Yellow City of the King in Yellow. Now, back at the time, I thought it was like neat synergy, which is probably what attracted the writers to inserting it in the first place. But if I could do it over, I would not have used that one word yellow right there where I did. So essentially, in the prologue of Act 1, you see Okano, which is the city run by the Knoll slavers, which is where the prisoner is. And then at the top of Chapter 1, when you wake up from the dream, you are in a reflection of Carcosa that the Tatterman is creating to torment you.
That's where we had that first fight in,
Yes.
in the dream with
Yep.
the Tatterman with
Yep.
our masks on.
With the masks on, sewed
Yep.
onto our faces.
So my apologies for any confusion.
Could have been glued.
The next question has been asked by multiple people. What was that evil spell Dora didn't cast outside the Iris Hill Gatehouse in Act 2?
You want to take that, Katie?
Yeah, it was excruciating deformation, which, if you remember, and I see that Michaela does, is the spell that killed, or was the precursor spell to the one that
Precursor.
killed Dora's
It was the one
mother.
that made her turn herself into
Yeah,
anathema.
yeah.
So the thing I was sitting on, and I never scripted it because I didn't know what the circumstances would be where this would come out, but my grand idea, Michaela, was if she ever did actually cast that spell on somebody, I was going to drop her into this moment of casting it on her mother with no context. I was just going to give her like a rush of visuals, because that's the only reason she knows that spell, because Tima essentially cribbed it from her dad.
Yeah.
Holy fucking fuck. Wow. That's awful. That's truly awful.
I have a related question for you, Katie.
Yeah.
All of these thought and emotion components that go into Dora's spells, are those listed in the rule books?
No, I make those up.
Every single one.
Every single one.
Yeah.
It just says it's just psychic magic casting. It doesn't have verbal and somatic or material components like traditional things do, or they do have material ones, but verbal and somatic, no. They were replaced by emotion and thought components. And so you challenged me at the beginning to sort of know what those were. And then we started this weird dialogue where I made something up and you put it in Iris Hill, or
Or it was already in Iris Hill.
I just listened to the episode where I cast mage armor for the first
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and I tell you, I vision a suit of armor at the top of 2 curving staircases, and you were like, I'm just going to amend that to tell you that there is only one curving staircase in the place where you visualize that armor. And all those places turned out to be in Iris Hill.
It's one of those really neat ways where we were able to tell this story together in ways that they didn't know that they were doing all the time.
Yeah.
So she would just make this stuff up, and I would just be like, all right, that's what that looks like in that room. So she's saying this. Okay, that's going to go in the front hall of Iris Hill. And I started to place so many objects and things in Iris Hill during book 1 and the first chunk of book 2 so that when she got there, she would see them. None of these things of which are in the book, but are just part of our building out our story of. So she was populating Tima's world without knowing that that's what she was doing.
Yeah. It started
Crafty son of a bitch.
It started as an exercise in the,
Just keep it
sort of
creative,
our core thing, which was explaining mechanics in a story and character driven way.
Yeah.
That I wanted to play around with a character who couldn't remember anything but still had access to something.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah.
The next question comes from Alex with 2 X's. What was the deal with Maeve and the angel Ray? I'd normally wait for this to emerge organically, but it's looking a lot less likely that will happen now that Maeve has been left behind and Ray has maybe been put to rest.
Great question. And it was sent in very early in Act 3. I'm guessing by now it probably is clear that Ray's story is actually still ongoing, even though he is very much dead. And all I will say is, we will actually come back to that before the end of all things. I would include that among the now much significantly shorter list of mysteries that are still kind of lingering after the character's memories return. Ray the Angel, what's the deal with Eric? All of the voices and images in the prologue have now been sourced, except there are only 2 remaining. There is a woman speaking telepathically through static. She's got a garbled monologue that includes, "Redeem yourselves." And there's this inhuman metallic voice saying, "You have been observed. This is not permitted. Initiate purge."
Yeah.
Those, all those loops will be closed. Every single one of them.
Wow. In another 150
50
something episodes.
See you in 3 years.
Blue Mushroom also has a question about Ray. Rob, does having Ray's blood on your hands weigh heavily on your soul, or have you come to terms with it?
It was so hard at first, but I have come to terms with it. Mostly because the thing that always happens did happen, which is that all this story stuff that never would have otherwise got to unfold for us. And as we all wrestled with what the loss meant, not only for the characters, but for the world and the story as a whole, it is now almost impossible for me to imagine the stuff with Daria and the Wailing House playing out as interestingly if Ray had been alive and there wasn't a dead Ray hanging out over all of it. Of course, it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting in its own way. But there was something about you, the 3 of you, having to deal with it while the corpse of your friend was also involved, while this third party was in the middle of it trying to not get killed. Like there was an interesting dynamic that was even more interesting than, oh, we know who Daria is. Death is such a great challenge in games like this, and every table, every GM has different relationships to it. I'm not a GM who feels like my one and only job is to slaughter these people, but I'm also not a GM who shies away from doing so. We have a ton of death stories from all of our campaigns, but typically at our table, what does happen is we find a way to tell a huge story out of it. We often do incorporate raising and resurrection when we can. Like we are a table that actually enjoys bringing that in and trying to tell a story out of the trauma of being brought back to life after death, or what they experience in the afterlife, or how they change in the afterlife, thinking about Tyrell.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do when you die at 5th level and all the priests in town have been killed? That's a final death. There's just
and
nothing
also
can be done.
And also with the sheer amount of dying that happened in the Dreamlands.
Yeah.
We got to tell a lot of those stories.
Sure. Yeah. So, Blue Mushroom also wrote in, Polly, that they find themselves reminiscing often about Ray and really wondering what kind of person they would have grown into by this point. Yeah. And me too. He was such a great creation. But his death is now such a huge part of the story, and I don't know. I don't think I'd have it any other way. As much as I miss having him here, also his dying has impacted so much.
And it's so weird because when he died, we were just starting to get those glimpses of, wow, everyone fucking hated each other.
Yeah.
And like learning that, oh, you had put out a hit on the rest of us. Like all those little things were just starting to peek their little heads up.
Yeah.
So it would be fascinating to know what that would have done to the dynamic. I mean, we all had our, like, Dora and Vic Roney, and Grucktusk all had their own, all their own, baggage, I guess. But we've been able to work through it. But so yeah, it's. I think about that a lot.
Yeah,
that we were just starting to learn. Oh, you were kind of a shit.
And he was very sensitive about people learning that they themselves were a shit. Like he was really, I think, of all of us, the most sensitive about it. And so I think a lot about what he would think of the revelations that have come out since he died. We've all had time to work through it and understand it, and but he feels so stuck in time.
Yeah, like the eternal
really,
child.
Yeah,
in a way.
It's really sad. Yeah.
He was never given a real adolescence and never given a real adulthood.
Yeah,
and
the eternal angry kitty.
Yeah, angry kitten.
Angry kitten.
And you brought back, you threaded back in some things that I sort of improvised in play, like "Why Was I Born" became the vocal component for casting blasting negative energy or something like that. So being able to feel this character stay alive through this, the way that you threaded things back in was really lovely. And there was another piece of artwork, No, which was
Gripper on his knees.
Before Ray. Yeah. Still alive in a way.
Okay. Mandy writes, I'm interested in hearing a bit about the homework assignments Rob occasionally gives the players. How much and what type of info is given? What are some thoughts from the players on the various assignments they've gotten over the years?
I'll take a stab at this. Normally, Rob will send us an email going, hey, so I want you to think about this, or try to come up with a story that touches on maybe one of these 3 or 4 types of things, and be prepared to kind of like weave it into whatever's going to be happening next. A lot of times it's during some sort of ritual or holiday or festival or something like that, where we'll have chances for those characters to share those stories or have those moments.
Especially if it's going to be a backup buddy, and I know you may not have thought from their point of view for a while. Yeah,
sure. I know that he and I have also, both online and offline, had various conversations about Gull, and then Roni, and then and Vic asking about, like, hey, so there might be a moment in this where you might be able to change. And so just have an idea of what that might be.
Just so I don't completely
gobsmack you upside the head.
I'm going to ask you to make a creative decision. I'm not going to tell you what's going on with it, but just think about change. Think about transition.
What would that be?
And especially like to Johnny specifically, who I've essentially asked now 4 years in a row, hey, change your character entirely without changing your character. And, Johnny's been 100% game, but that's not an easy thing. And it requires a lot of trust on his part. Thank you. And I try to honor that trust by giving as much information or prep or support as I can, while still trying to keep the flavor of nothing beats a surprise at the table. And catching it on mic is part of the magic of this,
I get a heart attack every time I'm assigned something to write, even though I write all the time. And then I put it off, and then I write Rob an email and say, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know what I'm doing. And then like 24 hours later, I write it and I send it to him, and he's like, it's great.
And it is.
That's your process.
Yeah.
I'm very
my
used to. I'm very
process, yeah.
used to your process now. I know I will get a panicked email 24 hours before it's due of saying you're not going to do it.
Totally forgot about
Then
this
it's like,
until right now.
oh, here it is. It's genius.
Dabwick's meditations began as a way to like get to know the character and reveal some of the backstory in a creative way, and it's kind of morphed. And I feel like this meditations work really well lately as a commentary on some of the themes that we're not able to really address at the table, but we still want to have in play and in mind, is that we're able to use these meditations as a way to address those things and keep them in play.
Yeah, and you're doing such a great job of always keeping a number of them ready. He's got 3 or 4 at any given time that are things that he thinks that Dabwick is thinking about. And some of them slot in very obviously when we get to a moment. And sometimes they don't. And sometimes something big happens and then Paul's like, I'm going to write a new meditation for the next time we meditate, just so you're aware.
Yeah, when I can have a couple of days. I do love to write
Yeah.
and send Rob stuff.
Yeah. And it's fun. Like, I feel like about 3/4 of the time I have seen them or bantered back and forth with him on them. And then, there's a bunch of them that I didn't really know until he did them. Or I didn't know he was going to do that one then. I was like, oh yeah, right, this one. And that I just love that little piece of the storytelling for this character who is going through such an experience.
I have to be very careful not to make Dabwick a Disney princess.
I'm not getting that at all.
Good.
Great.
Good, thanks.
Well, and that brings us to the specific questions that we'll take in chronological order of Act 3. The first one was sent in right after the formless spawn nearly TPK'd the party.
Alex, with 2 X's, asks, are they in fact lower level than the adventure author thought they would be for this? Like, did they speed run the research and they were supposed to level up with their river encounters before the caravanserai?
Nope, they were the proper level. But that is a creature uncannily designed to be nearly impossible for this specific party to kill. Honestly, even fully prepared and buffed and with a surprise round, I don't think they could ever take it down. This is just a fight that was never going to go their way. It was the perfect introduction to the Dreamlands, I thought, for our story. But, like in terms of adventure design, it is just sitting in a room that's not essential to pass through. So it is totally skippable by any party that can't just handle it. But I will say, so we spent a lot of time trying to brainstorm, okay, what's the party for whom this would be a cakewalk? And we can figure that out. The answer is actually fairly obvious. Any party with an alchemist.
Yeah.
And that fight is a cakewalk. But just like the specific things that this party does well, do nothing against it. And it's really, really hard for them to avoid the things that it does well.
Right.
But you all will be glad to hear, I did hear specifically from another GM that their group also had to run away.
I don't have any shame about running away from
No,
them.
no, no. That was the most losingest fight
It's like
ever.
an overpowered super trap.
Yeah, it really is. That's what it is. It is. It's more of a trap than a monster. It's just a death machine.
That's a good piece of Vic art too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When he's in the white linen
Yeah.
suit
Yeah.
and just being surrounded by
Yes.
all the
Colonel
tentacles.
Sanders, Vic.
Yes.
And this question is for Johnny.
Oh.
Mick asks, how many limericks has Stanhope Nixon written at this point, and has he completed his discipline punishment?
All right, so I went back and looked. According to the Dark Nexus podcast wiki, he's written 8, but I somehow think it's actually been more than that. I think there might have been 1 or 2 that weren't on there.
Nope, they're all there.
They're all there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You probably have written more.
Yeah.
All right, well then there's definitely
you're
a
gonna
few
do
more.
one right now?
Oh God, no.
Okay.
No.
He's
Absolutely
got to
not.
save them. just
Kind
in
of like
case.
Polly's Dabwick meditations, Johnny did go through a stretch where he had to kind of challenge himself to have enough limericks ready to go because we didn't know how many days we would be passing
Yeah.
through sometimes.
Right,
Yeah.
of course.
So Rob was like, if we go through a day, you better be prepared to read one. So, because you said that
You brought
on
this
air.
on all of us.
I was like,
This is on you, my friend.
I still remember the word coming out of my mouth and like looking at you and being like, what did I just do? What have I done? That was so Stupid.
That was a favorite hidden little nugget of the act that I would have never seen coming, is how annoyed Grip would get when about Scansion, but also when the themes of the limericks were clearly talking about him.
Yeah.
That would always make him cranky. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. He was so obsessed with you.
Yes, he was.
Obsessed or terrified.
Yeah.
It's a little Stockholm.
Tomato.
Yes. A little yes.
But I have no idea whether or not he's done with those because we don't know where he is.
Just gone.
He's
Gone.
just
They're all
gone.
gone.
They're all just gone.
Michaela, they're all gone.
They're all just gone.
Yeah. Specific though. Gone, not dead.
But
Gone.
I will say that I don't think he ever thought of it as a punishment.
Of course he didn't.
Because he had so much.
He's Stanhope fucking Nixon. Jesus.
He had so many rhymes to give.
so many rhymes to give.
That guy's a survivor. We're gonna see him again. I'm not worried. I should be. Okay, this question is for the party. Alex with 1X asks, any regrets about not trying to keep the evil ship?
Nope. Not from me.
Absolutely. Of course I have regrets about it. It would have been so cool to try to keep that ship. It would have been amazing to have a ship that allowed us to jump in and out of the Dreamlands. Would have been so cool. It would have been a giant clusterfuck of problems that would have come back at us to bite us in the ass.
Oh, yeah.
So hard. But what such amazing story opportunities would have come out of that. It would have been so cool.
I, for one, am glad that they decided not, so I didn't have to deal with the hassle. I loved it as a, let's walk around at once, be freaked out, and go away. But of course, if they had taken it, we would have told story.
All right, this one is for Rob. Alex with 1X asks, is there something in the AP that would help a party who couldn't detect thoughts speak to the guests in Arvington who only spoke ancient Aslanti?
Okay, let's talk about this. So, number one, the notion of people in Arvington speaking ancient Aslanti is not in the AP. That's purely my invention, and it sprang out of what I had decided to use as my model for the place. This whole notion of a secret name of a city that would bring doom if spoken aloud comes from ancient legends about Rome, actually. I only know about this from the writings of an author friend of mine, David Blixt. And when I was trying to ponder what had been done to Arvington, which is not explained in the AP, I remembered that idea from one of his things, and I looped it in here. And then Arvington itself came to be pictured in my head as modern-day Rome. And I was thinking about how long the Dreamlands has been around, and wouldn't there be cities that had been built up by people from older eras, speaking lost languages from dead civilizations? And I kind of got hooked on the idea of picturing this party walking around modern Rome with everyone turned to ceramic and running into talking corpses that only speak Latin. And that's kind of how that developed. But the big thing to know is that I included this linguistic challenge because the party had incense they could light that would allow them to communicate with them telepathically, which they totally forgot they had. So I kept trying to cue them. Hey, check your sheets, guys. Really go through them. And they're all like, yeah. Anyway, so I would eventually just told them to look at the incense, except that they found this solution that I thought was super, super fun. And this whole detect thoughts Pictionary thing, I was like, well, this is cool. Let's just do this. That's now a story we're going to remember.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, they can save the incense
now-
to burn in the drug den.
And now Dora speaks ancient
Ancient
Aslanti.
Aslanti. Yeah.
Amazing.
Just in case we run into any more ghouls of Arvington.
What doesn't Dora speak?
Like Elven.
Right.
Yeah, there you
She doesn't have anything normal.
That's right.
The most normal I have is Orc.
Did we ever explain why everyone learned Orc?
In my head, the reason this came about was because of your intelligence limited the number of languages you could ever learn.
Yes.
They learned it in order to have a language they could speak with you.
On the DL.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, I figured that you and I figured that I learned it from you when we were prisoners.
Yes.
I appreciate you all accommodating Grip's single-digit intelligence.
You're very handy in many other ways.
Well, thank you. It's
And
very
you
kind.
are the one who finds all the stuff.
It is true.
It's
So-
amazing.
We have another question from Alex with 1X. Was Daddy Johnny planned? On the same topic, Mandy wrote, Rob, can you talk a little bit about the decision to make Katerina Vic's daughter? Was it a fun twist that you added, like putting Jane in as a replacement NPC in Book 2? Or was Katerina created by Paizo as a device to be one of the player's daughters?
So the notion of anything being left behind, much less a child, or of the PCs causing substantive changes in the Dreamlands is not part of the AP. The only thing that's really inherent to the way the quests are laid out in the books is that the party first got the things one way, and they'll probably have to do it a different way this time. But the stories, all the things about impact are mine. And I mean, really, just kind of like how Jamandor isn't a presence in the AP the way it is in our game, much about the rules and the impact and the consequences, like even the feel of dream travel that we swam around in during our game, almost none of that is from the book. In the book, it really is just 7 pop-in, pop-out fetch quests. But
Do you want to mention here what is in the book about the journey from the caravanserai to the Mad Poet's Oasis? Which
Oh,
for
yeah.
us was
Jaw-dropping.
jaw-dropping. All the things we saw that rose up out of the sand, the YK fading.
Oh my God.
All of our memories, all
I'm
the
about
things.
to be furious, aren't I? I'm going to
Yeah.
be so mad.
No, you're going to be in awe of what
No, I'm
This
gonna be,
man has
no,
brought
I'm gonna
to
be
all of us.
You're
furious
gonna be mad.
with
You're
him.
gonna be mad.
I'm gonna be. Thank you, Katie.
I
You
get
know
you.
me.
I get you.
My fury is my love.
Don't
This
break
is-
the microphone.
this is the entirety of the text. Once the PCs feel ready to approach the Mad Poet, the Yellow King produces 8 hollow gourds, each stoppered and filled with a briny fluid. Each gourd contains a potion of endure elements to make the walk through the desert more pleasant. The Yellow King then leads the PCs away from the forsaken caravanserai. The walk takes 6 hours, regardless of the PC's speed. The Yellow King is nervous and talkative throughout the journey, asking the PCs about their dream quests and repeatedly insisting that their gifts are certain to be sufficient. Clearly intimidated by the Mad Poet, he encourages the PCs to be polite and respectful to one of the most powerful beings in the Dreamlands. Just before the PCs crest a large dune, the Yellow King informs the PCs that the Mad Poet's oasis lies ahead. He refuses to accompany them further, but reassures them that he'll wait for them here. That's it.
You. You are a madman of epic proportions.
When I got to that point, I was like, oh, they're after all of this time, they're finally going to go there. This has to be a life-changing experience.
Yes.
And it's happening to them in the Dreamlands where, everything that they do is somehow reflecting their own desires and needs and fears. And so I was like, this has to be a bigger story, and I have to find some way to help them tell, like, what do you see out there? What do you lose? What about you changes? And provide an opportunity for them to, again, it's all about, the complaint about this book from some tables is this whole book doesn't matter because none of it happens in the real world.
Right.
And my philosophy was always like, we have to find a way to make all this stuff that's really happening in their own minds have impact on their minds and their life experience and their story.
You blew my mind, man.
So back to Alex's question, was making Johnny's character a father something planned? Yes and no. Now, the idea wasn't something I thought of from the beginning or anything. It actually sprang out of a moment of, I don't think we've talked about this, Johnny. It sprang out of a moment of improv back in Act 2 when you all were fighting Melisande. I was just trying to think of shitty things she could say to you that would fuck with your head.
Yes.
And when it came time to say something to you, I blurted out some bit implying that there was a child between the two of you. It just flew out of my mouth. I didn't even think about it. Until the next episode, Johnny came in with a fucking fire under his ass and was like plugging her into the confabulation plates, and the only thing he wanted to talk about was the kid. And I was like, oh, that's gotta be a kid. Look what I just did here. And so immediately I was like, I think bringing a child into the real world story might be more than this thing can bear. But the Dreamlands are coming up.
So was Gregor supposedly a child? Is
Yes. Yeah.
I never put that together.
Oh, great.
I never, up until this very minute, I never
yeah,
assumed that Gregor
I'm
was
sitting here
was
like,
teasing a
I don't
child.
remember this. Did this get cut? Like, I
no.
totally don't remember this at all.
No, I just offhanded something that I thought would get under his skin, and it did.
Oh, yeah.
So kudos to me and then you for coming back and playing with it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I still can't get over what you just told me. I'm wildly hung up on that. I can't. I will read the rest of these questions and participate, but my brain is maybe in another place.
You're gonna have to read the books when we're all
I'm
done.
gonna. Oh my! I would love to. That I. Wow. Okay. All right. This one came from Johnny. Did Vic actually need to spend that action point to break through the grate in the lunar prison with the rod of lordly might?
Nope, you'd hit the DC.
I was going to say I didn't want you to answer that because we should never know.
Throw your resources.
We should never know if we're throwing our resources away or not.
In the case of a location you literally will never go back to, I don't think.
Boy.
Or if you're breaking back in there, then you'll probably at such a high level it won't matter what that DC is.
No, it definitely won't matter. But I think we should always feel insecure about
Next time we have a sec, remind me. Let's load up the book 3 roll 20. I'll let you guys walk through the rest of the prison just so you can see it since you haven't seen it.
Oh, that would be fun.
That's
We'll do
right,
that.
Okay. Then Jack asks, what were the glasses that were hidden in the dragon's scales? Great question.
Those were spectacles of understanding, which convert any written text into a language the wearer can read.
Ugh, I want those.
Fun, but also like, when are you going to use it in
the
that
dreamlands.
prison and then you're done in the dreamlands? I know.
in the dreamlands.
I know. But I still love the picture of Grip wearing them. Smoking his pipe with the spectacles.
Mandy asks, so now we know everybody's true backstory, and they are fucking heartbreaking. Players, did anyone have some entertaining theories over the past several years that you want to share with us? Also, I do want to say, I think it's in like episode, 146. I can't exactly remember, but everybody's going off on this tangent about who Dora and Tima are to one another. I'm like, y'all are so wrong. All of you are so wrong. This is so great knowing how wrong you all are because you're all very smart, but you're wrong right now.
That's been my life for 5 years.
Yeah, I really believed, I think I've mentioned this before, I really believed that Tima was an empty vessel after the Mad Poet, and Dora was an opportunistic entity that entered her. That's what I really believed, despite overwhelming evidence that probably was not the case.
I harbored a theory for a while that I think I started thinking this in book 1 just because the first time we heard Daria, before we even knew what Daria was, I noted the similarity, if you were to write them down, between Daria and Dora.
Yeah.
But then I filed that away. Then after the Wailing House, when we met Ally Across Time, Daria, then I was like, oh, is Dora just another Daria from another timeline that somehow got in here? So I operated on that theory for a while.
That would have been pretty fucking sweet.
I was.
If I could have figured out how to have that be real. Oh my god!
My cluing in of the nearness of Daria and Dora was
right.
Was on point though.
Yeah.
So I don't have. I only have one other theory that I don't think has been disproved yet.
Ooh.
About the prisoner.
Okay.
And I think it has not been disproved yet that the prisoner could be Ariadne.
Okay.
That's interesting.
I also
It's
for
now
a
on
while
tape.
thought that Dora was Ariadne.
You sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were pretty fond of that theory.
Yeah, I liked that one.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I think I like spewed out a lot of my theories as Gull, Roni, Vic, like spiraling down and like sort of swallowing my own tail several times.
Yeah, you got a lot of them out.
About several different things.
My favorite remains the body swapping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which was, you could not be dissuaded. You were 100% certain this is what it was, or the character was, and that was I was on my side. I was like, well, that's just not even going on at all. Do I
But
try to
you
quash
said
this?
something about psychotropic drugs that led him to think that. What did you? There was something you said.
It was
that led him.
it was a perfectly funded notion,
Yeah.
and it would make sense in this world. I just had to be left with like, okay, I can't confirm or deny. Is it better for the game if I encourage this or if I just remain silent? And because I I didn't know what to do with that necessarily. I was like, let him just cook. I'm just going to let him cook for a while, and then he can change his own mind. And then eventually, we got to other plot reveals and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was a wonderful thing, which I love playing an investigator, and I love like watching old noir private eye movie type things, because the private eye is inevitably wrong like 95% of the time until they finally run into the correct thing that's the answer.
Right.
It's just that they don't give up.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's not like they have it figured out from the jump. It's that they're like...
They're relentless. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the thing where I'm like, oh, okay, this is the part that I'm going to take away from that, is that until you actually land on the thing that's real, like...
Keep working it. Keep working the problem.
Keep working the problem.
Yeah.
That's what happens on House.
There you go.
Every week, there's always the wrong thing and then the right thing.
Yep.
But I did
And then
want
the subplot that makes the right thing happen.
I did want to say I have a theory about the electronic voice connected to the prisoner, and the whole violin and WW2 thing. Somehow I think that we're really here from like another universe or multiverse, time and space, with the specific intent to save this prisoner and save the multiverse from Jamandor. How exactly we got sent here to do that, but I still feel like somehow we were seeded into these bodies, into this place, like a oh gosh, what's that television show?
Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap, like a kind of quantum leap, like we've all been quantum leapt into this experience.
Yeah.
Now, is that theory of yours that is baked into the book, or do you think that is a Rob
made it
DMRK concoction?
I have no idea.
It's a concoction. There's nothing in the book.
I mean-
it's just a bunch of blank pages.
There is no book.
I guess I would answer that if Rob answered whether or not the prisoner is actually in the book.
Yeah. I will say I
Do you
did
want the
get
answer to that?
No,
Okay.
I'm not now. I want to find out when I relentlessly ram into that wall.
Perfect.
I did get a follow-up question from Mandy today asking, did I come up with Tima, like what was the origin of Tima? Like how much did I come up with
yeah,
and
talk
how
about
much
that.
did, and I just told her, I'm like, Tima is the name I gave the mechanic of the psychic discipline that I chose. And then I handed everything over to Rob and said, you make sense of it.
We had a chat exchange where I was asking you some leading questions kind of around your initial ideas for who that person might be, what might be involved. And you just kind of riffed on kind of like even just like broader story ideas that
I
were
knew her
interesting to
full
you.
name
Yep.
and I knew her nickname.
Yep.
And then I was kind of like, so the name Anathema is powerful. What does that mean? Use that.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then I tried to, kind of like what I did with Robert's, I think I beat up people for money, and then I made him a constable who beats up people and takes their money.
Right.
I kind of sort of took what Katie gave me and did exactly what she said, but almost in a mirror image Funhouse version of it.
Yeah.
All right. One more question from Alex with 1X. This one's for Rob. And Rob wants it known
On the record.
that Katie refused to let him skip it.
Yeah.
Alex asks, how does it feel to be one of the best GMs in the audio format?
Alex,
Yes.
that is so kind of you. Thank you for all of your support and your questions and your engagement. Honestly, I am not programmed to think that way about myself or even to take a compliment. But I am so glad that this very specific thing that we're making here is providing some enjoyment for others out there. And I'm going to keep working to make this the best version of what we're doing here as I can. I'm a theater guy myself, and the thing about this medium that involves working your ass off and then hurling all of your hard work into the digital void is very not easy sometimes. You don't get the instantaneous feedback, you get from a live audience. So I will reinforce for everyone out there who enjoys this or a thing like this, whether or not you can afford to financially contribute to support the artist's labors, simply reaching out with a kind word like that, acknowledging it, expressing your appreciation for it, making fan art, whatever it is, it honestly, it goes so far to making the labor of the creation of this art meaningful and honestly possible. It is the easiest and most meaningful thing you can do. So thank you, Alex. I appreciate it so much.
I have one other question that a friend of the podcast, Jessica, wanted to be sure got asked.
Yeah.
Are you all okay?
It's a great and incredibly valid question.
What does she mean by that?
Well, that's just a perfect question.
Just wants to know after, and she's listened a couple of times. She's listened to us a lot. And after finishing Act 3, she just wants to know if we're all right. So I will
think
say
that will be answered by the first episode of Act 4.
That I have a lot of feels about the end of this book, and but I think I'm okay. But I had more feels than I ever thought I might have from a role-playing game. But I think I'm doing okay. I don't know if anyone else wants to throw an answer to that.
I guess I'm okay. Depends on the day.
I will say, doing this and getting to be here with you all makes me much more okay.
Yeah.
All the time, because getting to be creative with a group of people that I love and respect means a lot to me. So I'm very grateful. Is maybe how I am.
Here.
Yeah.
All right, and finally, we'll wrap up by bringing back a question Eric asked last year. If you could go back in time, is there anything you'd do differently in this act, either as players or characters?
I wouldn't have taken that possible attack of opportunity acrobatic check into the
In the first 10
in the
seconds
first
of
10
Dreamlands.
seconds of the Dreamlands. There was just this feeling every once in a while I get with Dabwick where I want to be a frontline fighter. I don't know why. It's really not appropriate.
No, but it makes sense for Dabs.
Dabwick wants to run right into the front lines,
Yeah.
and I just need to be more careful.
It worked well that one time when you turned into a giant scorpion. What was it?
Yeah.
On the pirate fight or something?
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Something like
it's like
that.
Yeah. If you're not the tiny little halfling, you can probably do it. But
Squishy little halfling.
Oh, you were so squishy.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a regret, but I wish the dice had told a different story in many instances. Probably not the one you're thinking of that I'm going to bring up.
Okay.
When Grip just got over his phobia of the slashing weapons, he was doing his daily profession sailor check.
Yep.
And I had that thing in my head. I wanted him. He had discovered meditation. But we were waiting for me to fail one of those profession sailor checks to have him fuck something up that then he would get yelled at and he would be able to have the moment. But I just kept nailing the profession sailor checks. So we had to fabricate the moment to make that happen.
We did.
We did the whole Axe Moulinet thing. But yeah, because I'm like, eventually I'm going to roll a 2 on this check. You just kept cranking them out.
You really did. We were just kept staring at each other as he would roll these like that's a 17 for it.
And you made mention at one point, I have consequences if you fail, but you just keep.
I would have, this is not something I would do differently, but I would have done more of the conversation with Tima. I kept forgetting about it. I kept forgetting to check. It would be like weeks would go by, and then I would be like, oh, I should look in that thing. And you would have put part of the conversation in, and I...
But it kind of began to fade away the longer you were in the Dreamlands, which I eventually was like, maybe that's just, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
With
Such a cool story, though.
Yeah, the more insane you got, the further you got away from the real world.
Yeah, and other stories were kind of superseding, or where the madness of her really believing that she was that teacher in another place, and things like and then the greater madness from Bokrug, and things kept superseding the conversation.
I have 2. The first one is when we left the Dreamlands and left Katarina, I had a moment where I was like, oh, I should let everybody else go and I should just stay. And I should just stay and live here until Vic is like an old man. And right before he's about to die, he goes. And like stay with her that entire time, stay And I was like, oh, fuck, I should have just done it. And I'm like, regardless of the consequences, I should have just done it. And then I'm not 100% sure on this one, but I forget, like, my favorite moments in this game are not the moments when we're like fighting and doing everything tactically right and like totally crushing somebody. Like, those are fun, but my favorite moments are when the story stuff becomes more powerful than the tactical RPG part of the game. And to that end, I had a moment where when we were facing ourselves, and I totally had the drop on the triangle man. I was like, oh, I should let him kill me, because then Katarina is safe.
Wow, Johnny, you're nuts.
That would have been quite a story.
Yes.
Fucking insane.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
I have a question for you all, and this may be unanswerable at this point, but I'm curious if you have a thought. A lot of GMs, myself included, look at this list of 7 quests and wonder if maybe this part of the story could go a little more quickly if there were only, say, 6 or 5 or 4. And before we got to this book, I was nigh positive that I was going to skip Arvington entirely. And I thought Brelin's party and the party at Sarnath probably didn't both need to happen. So I was fully planning that we were just going to do 5. But then, of course, once I got my idea about what was going on at Arvington was in place, like I didn't want to skip it. And then as I realized about how many things I wanted to drop in about dream adventuring, and we had all this stuff about the Chester thing, and I didn't know when that was going to fall, I was like, all this stuff has to probably be doled out fairly slowly. And so I eventually just decided, like, what the heck, keep it all in. And then, of course, like, in the end, each of them ended up having very specific, memorable things happen in them. And so now it feels like, yeah, I guess 7 was right. But what's your feeling as players? If we could go back in time, should I have consolidated?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Those were every single one of those was a banger.
Yeah,
They were all great.
you made
If
them
you
each so distinct and so unique. And, I mean, add on the layer of all the different artwork styles from Matt. No,
right.
I mean, I think I never once felt like, I wish there weren't as many of these.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
No,
good.
and the thing that you said of other parties or games playing this and being like, none of this matters. Like, I don't feel that way even remotely about this book, about that book. Like, I not even remotely. Like, it feels so fundamental to who the characters are and to the experiences that they've had. And I mean, we even talked about that, about, you know, the Dreamlands, for even though these things happen in their minds, is real. They had these experiences.
Yes. Yeah.
To me, it was about, like, the scariest part was going to the Mad Poet. So the more
longer we could put
obstacles
that
you could put in front of me. But I think there's a framing thing. Like, if we'd ended book 2 and you said, okay, the next book is going to be you're on a long river journey, but you're going to do these 7 quests, I kind of probably would have felt like, that's a lot of quests.
Right.
But because it happened in Discovery, and we did have all those conversations about, do we need all the gifts? And we are such raging completists.
You are that.
That it and as we did more of them, it was kind of like, I kind of want to see what the next thing is going to be.
Right.
You know? And when you look at the artwork altogether, you can see that there's really only 2 in Sarnath.
Yeah.
You know, there's only, like,
The last few were actually pretty short.
Yeah, there weren't that many.
We got
in
better
those
at
places.
it.
Yeah.
Well, and also, like, those first 2, there's so much setting up to do.
Yeah.
Not just about where you're at, but what it feels like, what the implications are. You had to learn about time. You had to learn about what
Yeah.
We understood back in book 2 that I won't lose hit points for real, but what do I lose? You had to go through all that discovery.
And we had to go through it being really hard to come back.
Yes. Yeah.
And what that costs.
man.
Oh my God. I love that mechanic. The 2d6 points of damage
Yeah.
to lower a DC by 1.
1.
You know, of course, you didn't really have to do that so much by the end, but those early few quests where
Oh no! When Grip,
All
when
the
Grip
math,
had the
the
madness
math that was going
that's
on.
crazy.
They were unable to ever do take 20.
Yeah.
it's
like-
just awful. It was
Yeah.
awful. And it led to such a fun thing when Berlin's beloved was descending, and it just was like, oh my god, we're just gonna keep rolling dice and taking damage.
No one's looking,
Oh
I'm not
fuck!
looking.
And Johnny's like, you tell me what I see, Rob. You're not gonna hand wave this. You tell me what I see.
What do you mean he's taking his belt off?
Taking his belt off was the worst thing I've ever heard.
I kept trying to hand wave through that, and thank you, Johnny, for keeping me on the hook, because it ended up being one of. It's a fun listen to go back to, and especially when you've got Matt's art to just picture that specific moment in Vic's life when he was that crazy, dancing around like a bird, just staring up as this is happening, just bleeding, and just
my God.
awful.
That madness of him not knowing what was real or what was a dream was the most freeing thing ever.
I'm so glad you made that choice.
Oh, I loved it. It was so much fun.
Half the book was not just the quest. It was our recovery from the quest.
Yeah.
It was how
Yeah.
we treat each other and ourselves
Yeah.
after the quest.
And the great juxtaposition of our party versus the other party and how they didn't take care of each other.
And I also, I know that we talked about this before, but I just have to say again, one of my absolute favorite episodes is the episode where Dabs just continues to take hits of everybody's madness, and like it just doesn't stop. And then Dora comes in with the, can you scry team? Oh, it was just so glorious, so good.
Yeah, that was
Oh,
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Thank you to Michaela.
thank you, Michaela.
Thank you very much for having me. I am constantly excited by Monday mornings because of you all. Everything else about Monday sucks except for you guys. And genuinely, it is a pleasure to hear your work, and I'm very excited to sit at this table with you.
Yay.
Well, we've got like 12 episodes of Act 4 in the bank already, so we are cruising right along. Yeah. Yeah. There's some shit goes down.
Strange doings are transpiring.
Yes.
You don't say.
So we've got our recap and review episode next week, and then the following week after that, Act 4 starts. Woohoo! We'll see you all soon. Dark Nexus is produced by Plug and Hum Productions. This podcast uses trademarks and/or copyrights owned by Paizo Incorporated, used under Paizo's fan content policy. This podcast is not published, endorsed, or specifically approved by Paizo. For more information about Paizo Inc. and Paizo products, please visit paizo.com. That's Paizo.com. Dark Nexus uses music and soundscapes by Syrinscape. Check them out at Syrinscape.com. That's Syrinscape.com. Opening and closing themes, along with additional music composed by Rob Kauzlaric. Artwork for Dark Nexus is by Matt Wahlquist. And thanks to DMCP, Richard and Ari, Paul and Shannon, Scotty, Jason, Jess, Joe, Chelsea, Matt, Dave, Derek, Darren, Michaela, J.H., the Biscuit Buddies, and everyone we've gamed with over the years for all the memories and inspiration. Welcome back to Dark... and let's call it.